Good morning, traders. Let's go ahead and start up pre-market prep.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's pre-market prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
Good morning, traders. Yes. Guess what? I'm at Spencer Israel's desk, taking over. I said it. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. Let's go ahead and bring on Dennis Dick and Joel Elconin. How we doing this morning, guys?
Doing well. I don't know, Dennis. Can we still work with this guy? He's a suit.
This guy, he's a suit. He's a suit. They were calling Benzinga suits, and we said we weren't suits, and now all of a sudden we're suits. I tell you though, man, he's all style. This Money Mitch is all style.
So you got Nike shorts on under there, Under Armour,
jogging pants.
It's supposed to be 75 degrees in the D today, so
he's looking slick though.
Man, I didn't even have to wear a suit and tie for services because we did virtual services for the new year. But anyways,
when's the last time you wore a suit? Well, you just went to a wedding.
A wedding, that was
yeah,
it.
You just went to a wedding.
Yep. What are we gonna talk about today, Mitch?
Well, we got a lot going on. We had Genie's earnings. We got a stake in Citrix. We got Sherwin-Williams, Petco, Apple, Tesla, Microsoft. A lot on the board today. And we're going to get into an interview. We got David Trainer, founder and CEO from New Constructs. It's going to be a busy one, but let's go ahead and get started. First on the list, I want to get to this Elliott stake. More than 10% wants in Citrix to take a step and boost its valuation. Well, what are you thinking here? And I'd ask you guys because I don't know too much about this. So let me know. What's going on with it?
By Dow Jones last night, 2 minutes before the 8 o'clock close at 7:58. Ella goes all over it, just jumping right on that headline. You could see it just popping up immediately to the second. Broke at 7:58.00 and traded up to 109 at 7:58.00. So the algos are all over this kind of stuff. An incredible move here, 6.76%. Feels a little overdone, but you're in a gap area, so it could get more overdone. I'd say if it got to the 115 area, I'd probably ring the register on the event. You know how I love to sell the rip, but it's pushing higher. It's holding up the entire session. It doesn't look like it wants to leak back, and you're in a whole gap area, so there is room to the 114, 115 area.
Been around. This company's been around a long time. I remember this. Yeah. Oh, forever. These kind of things, these guys, they take their stake, they tweet it out or it hits the press and it gets the move. And it's just a question of whether or not, is there immediate value in this stock? Is, are they going to push it to 115, 120, 130? I don't know. Sometimes these things take some time. First things first, let's get through the pre-market high at 109.97. We're trading 109.49. And then you probably will, I don't know. If this goes to 115 on it, then that would be a gift. To fill the gap, that must have been earnings. Really no resistance up to 114, 114.
That's what I was looking to.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to come in early and say, sell 111 when there does look like there's room to 114. But at the same time, I'm buying a 111. No, I'm not chasing something up 7%. But you guys know my style. I've been here a long time. I don't chase.
Another possible thing, if you're looking for, to take profits, let's say you're, pick this thing up between 95 and 105. You're getting a little break here. One of the scenarios is it runs in the morning, takes out 110, goes 111, 111 and a half, and then then a real seller comes in. Then it starts to roll over and maybe goes back down through the open. So a couple ways to look at it. It's just definitely no man's land here for Citrix Systems Inc.
Mouthful, Joel.
It is. It is.
It is.
It's gonna take me a little bit to get back. Oh, you know what? Also, I forgot to mention. Didn't do the commodity. The SPOOs and the crude and the gold and everything. But the only thing I want traders, investors to know: rollover. This is the last day we're traded SEP. It's the first month. We had the early first Wednesday, right? Last Wednesday was the first, and now it's a Labor. This is like a weird week with Labor Day on Monday, the Jewish holiday on Tuesday. Roll over today being Wednesday, and then the DEES will be trained. The DEES will be the front month contract on Thursday. So you get a little of those liquidity moments when they're rolling over the contract. So a few air pockets, and we did have some few air pockets in the SPOOs this morning. We actually have over a 25-point range. We did sneak, we did. For some reason, we went down to 44.97. Dennis, I don't know what happened. Just after that 4 a.m. opening, we were down pretty good.
Like come back, buy the dip, wins again.
Yeah, took out the low from last week, and then it's just been a steady churn to get back to unchanged. So.
You know what I think it was too is crypto was getting hit pretty hard here overnight. It has bounced back from those lows, but we saw last night crypto obviously was the catalyst, maybe even for the overall market sell-off yesterday, because you were seeing, and we've said this before, you think Bitcoin isn't correlated to the markets, but we've seen over the course of the last year when Bitcoin starts to get slammed, money starts to come out of other assets as well. So obviously horrible day for crypto yesterday when you were away, Joel, where Bitcoin was really getting hit. But again, overnight we were getting hit. You can see it in the charts, and then we've kind of rebounded here. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the market has rebounded too with the rebound in Bitcoin from around that same time you were talking about 4 in the morning.
Yeah, it's I guess things aren't going so well in El Salvador with the transition.
Well, it depends. He says he's buying more, so they're buying the dip. So we'll see. Bitcoin goes to 100,000, and El Salvador president's going to look pretty smart.
Exactly. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's only gone up, right?
Well, buy the dip has worked. Yeah, buy the dip has worked on pretty much everything. It's been the best strategy. Speaking of buy the dip, I noticed Kathy Wood too last night buying the dip again in Deere. I actually got hit pretty hard on this one. I had it on for an arb trade, and it opened down, and it got hammered. And just pulled the rug out from under it. You saw a lot of stocks. It was a vicious market yesterday, where some stocks like Apple were moving higher. Some of the meme stocks were moving higher. Some of the cyclical names, some of the, like 3M as well, Joel. Check out the move in this one yesterday. It opened up around just slightly down at 193, and it closed at 185. Like, this was a big move. And Deere, same story. At one point in time, was down almost 20 points. So it wasn't even individual news. At least I didn't see any on Deere. And you just saw a lot of rotation happening once again here. So this has been the name of the game. It's, even though the SPY continues to just shrug most things off, because we know, it seems like it's rotation within the index where something gets sold, they buy something else. Money's just scared of cash altogether. But, I mean, there was some stocks really getting hit hard yesterday, and 3M and Deere were two of those.
Well, one of the things is we're going to have to call Rob up, because, I mean, if you September is one of the seasonally weakest months of the years. So seasonality coming into play, and you can
that's
you need the stock odds, man.
We talked about seasonality a little bit yesterday because ELY had an upgrade, and I was like, I don't know really if I want to buy golf plays, but we were interested in the sports betting plays. A couple people in our chat's real smart, picks up, and talks about, as sports betting, speaking of seasonality. And I was like, absolutely. I mean, I was saying October is the best month for sports, kind of like the Penn, kind of like the DraftKings. Don't have either of them, but they were setting up okay on the charts, and lo and behold, Penn now showing some life. Great day for it yesterday, despite the overall market weakness. DraftKings breaks out from its range. It was just sitting there raring to go, and it does indeed break out. Obviously, GNOG follows that one, but the sports betting plays are hot. I think on pullbacks, I think I'm interested in all these plays just because you're coming into seasonality. You got to think October. I was saying, Joel, is October the best month for sports? Because you got baseball playoffs, hockey gets started, Football's rearing and going, and then you got basketball starting up too. Isn't October about the best month for sports?
Yeah, yeah. The only thing you're really missing is college basketball, and that gets started like in November. But no, we talk a whole nother seasonality plays with with the sports book. NFL kicking off on Thursday. Tampa Bay Bucks playing the Cowboys. What do you think about that one, Mitch? You think the Bucks are going to bury the Cowboys?
Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, Dak is not going to be as on point as we
Okay.
expect him to be, just because I think he's going to need a couple games under his belt. But I mean, a lot of people are doubting Dak this year because of his shoulder injury. Watch out, guys. I mean, this guy was one of the leading quarterbacks for 2 years, and then he got injured. But if he can get it back, I think the Cowboys will do all right. Let's switch on to Genie with this.
Joel's trying to take us into a sports show.
Yeah, I can't blame him, but I got Genie. Let's talk about Genius Sports here.
Sure.
So this morning, before kind of the earnings were released, they also were granted a temporary event wagering supplier license for Arizona. So as you guys can see, I've always talked about how these are all about state by state. As each one goes legal, you need to see if they're getting these licenses, because this goes up and shows up on the bottom line. And it's not something they can put out ahead of time, because they need to get the license, right? So they can't just be putting it in the bottom line. I think this helps Genie for sure. But if you look at their earnings, they reported a quarterly loss of $3.08 per share, which missed the consensus of 25 cents of loss there. So
there must be some adjustments in there.
Yeah,
stock is getting hit on this report. It kind of got hit ahead of it yesterday, and they bought it back towards right in the morning when they decided that they were going to start selling everything. They did buy some stocks back. I still like this play, Mitch. Are you still in it?
Yeah.
You held through the earnings. I mean, I if you get a significant pullback, I do like this play. I had picked it up at 18, and then I got spooked and basically sold it at the same price. If it was to get back to that 18-19 area, I think I'd take a flyer on it. We're down $1 here this morning. I do think this is a dip to buy. I hate being the first person in, because I've been punished like that before. We know with the Fisker purchase a few weeks ago. This is one I wanted to put in the long-term portfolio for the simple reason is that you like it, and the second reason is that this is a play on sports betting. So I like both of the. I like this whole sector. So I do like the stock. I might wait and not try to be the first one to catch the falling knife, though.
Pair of highs to contend with, and we're $1.70 off them at 21.78, 21.79 from the last two sessions. So there's what you need to get through in order to have some more upside. 21.90 was a high you had back in June, but just from the fact you have two lows in the same area, makes it a great level for today. On the downside, you got lows around 20 here, and it would be important to hold. Well, they're both under 20. First things first, 2015, you're kind of hanging there. That's your 4-day low. And then you might have some work to do under 20. I'll spot the two lows from last week and call it 1960. But first things first, let's see if the street wants to buy it at the 4-day low of 2015. You haven't even traded there yet.
Now, one thing I would mention about Genie is that as of recently, they did get some good partnerships. They announced multi-year strategic partnerships with DraftKings, Caesars, WinBets, and also AAA SI Sportsbook. And so what this really all about is about their NFL data, right? That's what I pay attention to this company, is that they've been making the right deals with the leagues. And this was reiterated by the CEO, Mark Locke. He said, "We continue to significantly expand our leading portfolio of official rights by partnering with the sports leagues and federations in the key regions across the globe." So I think this is what you pay attention to in the industry, right? The thing behind the thing, the data. They need to get the partnerships with the league. Once they get the partnerships with the league, what ends up happening is all these companies like WinBets, Caesar, they all come to Genie and say, "We need the data to get our sportsbook as live as possible." And that's
all about the data, right, Dennis? It's all about paying for the data.
And that's why I'm in Genie. It's the thing behind the thing. And I think in the long run, it's just an investment for me. I never have said, I think publicly on a YouTube show, that I'd hold the stock for more than a year. This is one that I'd hold.
So this is one you're planning on holding. This is not a trade for you. This is a longer term investment.
Exactly.
We're getting an opportunity on the dip here this morning, and I am interested in it as well. I'm going to wait for the dust to settle, though, just so I don't get fiskered. And I made a new verb here just now.
Get in frisky with the
You got frisky and fisker.
I got fiskered and fisker.
Oh,
trying to catch the bottom.
oh,
CTX moving up here, and they're now trading 111, up 750. Maybe they do have that gap fill on the mind.
I think so.
It's bid. It's bid. Get in there and bid. It's bid right now.
Well, you know what? And here's the main thing about when you get, slower news days. When you get a headline like Elliott and it's in the middle of earnings season, it might get lost. But when you have not that much individual stock news happening, guaranteed CNBC is going to talk about it. Guaranteed, they might even, bring somebody on, an analyst, or they might even maybe either get somebody from Elliott. I'm not sure if Elliott's outspoken, but you just, once it starts getting more media attention, that drives the price further too. So that's why it's tough to just come in and say, oh yeah, I'm going to short, the one stock that's having a good day out of, obviously there's other stocks, but I mean, of the major, names and the major news stories here today. There's not that much news. So, when you got quiet news days, you got to be careful just shorting the one story.
We're losing some altitude here. Did we have...
We've been bouncing around, Joel.
Yeah,
we've been bouncing around.
Yeah.
What's Bitcoin? Bitcoin rollover or what? Is Bitcoin leading this market? Is this a Bitcoin market?
I don't have the Bitcoin eye like I have the Spoo's eye, and I just know we were unchanged for a little bit, and then now we're down 5.5. So I can't tell you. I don't have the Bitcoin Spoo overlay chart. I was just looking at the Spoos.
That's what we need is the Bitcoin overlay chart.
19.25. Yeah, another indicator to follow. But no, that's where we're at. We're at 13.25, down 6 handles. We're actually trading below a weekly level. This is probably the third time this year that we've actually traded to a weekly swing number. So if I had to put a hat on today or for the remainder of the week, and don't want to say it, but bearish. Oh,
Joel.
That's it.
Yeah. Every time you try to get bearish, though, and this not just applies to Joel, this applies to every human being on the planet. Whenever we try to get bearish, the market just gets bought right back up. And I guess it depends your definition of the market. Like I said before, I like to look at the IWM as a better feel for what's happening overall here because the SPY is just so heavily weighted in those top 5 names. But okay, Money Mitch, take us to the next area you want to talk about.
Boom shakalaka, says a girl who has no name. Let's go ahead. Let's get into it. So I don't know if you're trying to paint your home, Dennis, but Sherwin-Williams SHW today lowered its net sale guidance third quarter 2021 while leaving its full year 2021 net sales and diluted net income per share guidance unchanged. So are you painting the house, Dennis?
Input costs. And they talked about it, and Christian Fromhertz just tweeted it out. I did retweet the tweet. Talking about input costs not being so transitory. And this is a major issue for a lot of companies. We saw a lot of the food producers, obviously input costs in them. Clorox, we saw an issue with input costs. Was it Hershey's? I think it was Hershey's too, same issue. And then I believe you had PPG warning about this, if not yesterday, but recently. Yeah, PPG warned on Tuesday. So same thing. It's, we've got inflation. And some companies benefit from it and other companies don't. And Sherwin-Williams, obviously input costs here, inflation happening in there, not helping Sherwin-Williams. So, and people, believe it or not, probably do hold off projects, if, they're looking at, paint costs and everything else going up, people do hold off projects. So I was talking about my one friend who's, a builder, and he was saying normally through the spring, he gets, 15, 20 calls on decks. He said, I didn't even get one. And why is that? Because wood costs back in the spring were just going through the roof. So transitory issues, transitory inflation, maybe, but in some cases, it looks like it's sticky. And in Sherwin-Williams' case, not good for the stock.
Yeah, the inputs for paint, pigment, resin, and solvent here. So they're the inputs.
Look at you know everything.
What? Look at Joe.
What?
Oh, come on, guys. How do you think I found that?
Our friend Google.
That's the way chat answers all my questions.
Or was it the chat?
No, it was
Chat
me.
would have it too.
What is paint made of?
What's better, the chat or Google? Because our chat knows all the information too. We ask, and the chat comes up with the answers
it's because
too.
a lot of them are robots that are.
No, there's no robots in there. I know you believe that, but robots aren't.
Come on,
and you were
who's
looking
a
at
robot?
you've got this in your head that everybody's a robot, and it's not. The robots aren't as sophisticated as you think. I would guarantee you the majority of the people that are in our chat right now, there is the odd robot, don't kid yourself, but the majority of these are people, even though Donkey Limited and Will Alton just do beep boop.
Sunday said, LOL, I'm definitely a robot. You see, the robots are planned.
Oh, they are all robots. They all said they're robots. I'm a bot. Tom Bigger's a robot. Dan's a robot. Joel, you're absolutely correct. Sunday says I'm definitely the odd robot. Slovak's a robot.
You guys throw one.
I had no idea. All of our chat are robots. That's okay. Well, we like robots.
What was the name of the robot in that show Lost in Space? What was the robot's name? You remember?
Will Robinson?
Yeah, I think it was Robinson, wasn't it?
No, that was the name.
No, that was the guy. But what was the robot's name? Oh, the chattel. No. What was the robot's name?
I can't think of it.
It was. You should definitely know that. This is back from your days, Joel. What year did that movie come out? 1970.
It was a TV show.
It wasn't Johnny Five. Johnny Five was from Short Circuit. What was
I don't know.
I remember Lost in Space. Robbie. They're saying Robbie.
No, it wasn't Robbie.
There was multiple people saying Robbie.
Really?
Yeah, that's 5 people saying Robbie. I'm calling them right. This chat knows.
Have to go with
the
Robbie.
Chat. What is better, Google or the chat? I'm honestly stuck on that because our chat comes up with the answers fast.
You know what I'd say? I'd say our chat, of course.
I think so too. I'm going to start just going to our chat for the instead of going Google. I'm just going to go to our chat and it will give us the answers.
All right, let's go ahead and transition here. I'm trying to get through all the topics today.
It's hard. We're giving Mitch a hard time. Mitch is in the hot seat.
All right, so
it's a suit.
He's a suit. I hope Portnoy doesn't see you down today. That's all I have to say.
Those Benzinga suits.
I mean, I could do some sports betting today. Hey, but Petco CEO Ron purchased 46,600 shares at an average of 21.72. So you got a filing for this morning. The dogs are barking, man.
Woof.
Woof, woof.
Great ticker symbol. We got to do that ticker symbol show sometime with all the best ticker symbols, and I will vote woof right up there in the top 10.
D-nut.
Woof. Woof.
Let's see here.
Is that how you say woof?
Woof. Woof, woof. When the dogs are barking?
It's getting a nice lift. CEO buys. So let's just talk insider filings. You know, sometimes you get a small one. Sometimes it's another company. When the CEO buys, people take notes. And if the CEO buys a significant amount, if he buys like $10,000 worth in some of these smaller caps or $100,000 worth, not as much, but he bought a significant amount of stock here. What does it come up to? $1 million worth? 46,000 times 2172. What's that math? Quick chat. 2172 times 46,600. I am good at math, but I cannot do that one in my head. I guess you could round 50 times 20. $1 million. I'm going to say $1 million. I actually can do it in my head. $1 million. That's a vote of confidence.
I don't want to say anything bullish about this because I don't want Mark Chaikin coming on and ripping my head off.
Is Chaikin coming on?
No, but remember we said like a possible support level in Chewy last week, so I figured, what's Chewy been doing?
He's like, "What are you chewing on?" He said.
Yeah, he was like, "You gotta buy that." I mean, this is a pop. It looks like kind of light volume taking it up. We do have 2 areas of concern here, or 2 potential areas of resistance. One you're right at right now, 22.44. Actually, 3 highs in this area. So if you can hold this 22.30 off the hop, I think you get some continued gains. After that, closer to 23. This is, I don't know, not a huge mover. Maybe for a big move, you get up to 22.89 today on the inside buy. But big move for it already, considering, look at the last ranges over the last few days were not that much. And the robot was called the robot. It did not have like...
They said Robbie.
They called it robot. I can't remember that little
You're
guy.
arguing with the chat.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, Robbie the robot. Yeah, you're
Robbie.
right. It's kind of a scary show.
One of the things I think with Petco is always it's the convenience, right? And so they do have a partnership. I'm pretty sure this was DoorDash. And with that being said, they can get your food delivered to your house same day. I think this is definitely helping them compete with Chewy, because the whole big part with Chewy was that you could get your food in 1 to 2 days, right? But if I don't have to wait even a day, and I can just get it delivered to my house with Petco, what gives Chewy the advantage there? I think this is the battle now that you're seeing. A lot of these companies are now using these driving companies to actually deliver their product, and thus getting around these kind of e-commerce business that are just in kind of like 1 to 2 day shipping. You can get it same day delivery. Why not?
And you don't have to worry about the driver eating your food, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's eating the dog food.
Unless they like dog food. Or unless they have their dog in the car. But I don't know. This not a bad looking chart on this one. We'll see if we get some follow through.
All right, let's move on to the next one here. Let's talk a little bit of Apple before we get to our interview.
Yeah.
Grinding higher. I look at my portfolio and it continues to go up despite having a few dogs in there, but it's because Apple is it might even be the top component now in my long-term portfolio, just because it has moved up so much. I don't know. I might have to actually sell some just to rebalance. I'm becoming an Apple. I don't remember what it is. I think it's 8 or 9% of my portfolio now, just because it's moved up. It used to be 2%, and then it just keeps going up. So it's taken over a lot of my portfolio, just like Fang has. Google's a huge chunk. Amazon's a huge chunk. I'm basically SPY. What SPY does, my portfolio does. My long-term portfolio, we're talking, not the trading portfolfolio.
Yeah.
They like the news of that event, right? They're having some event coming up, a streaming event, September 14th.
Yeah,
so.
write that on your calendars. We know we like to talk about the run-ups into events. You're a little ways away from it yet, but maybe we get to like Friday nights, Monday, Tuesday. You often do see Apple run ahead of the events. So there's a trade. There's some alpha to usually extract from the run-up ahead of the events.
All right. So they reportedly also entering the BNPL space. So buy now, pay later. And as we know, PayPal also went after the Japanese payment company Payday for about 2.7 billion in cash. So I mean, multiple companies starting to step up in that space. And we also had a firm, with the talks with Amazon. I mean, this is a very big focus right now. So I think this is just helping them give them that lift.
Kicking the can down the road with payments, huh?
I like that. I forget who it was on Twitter, but buy now, pay never. That would be a good business model in this environment, Joel. Everybody would go to that. You'd have all the revenue. You'd have all the pre-revenue anyways. I don't know how you make money with that model in the long run, but the long run doesn't matter to people. Buy now, pay never. Yeah, you come with us, you don't ever have to pay. Everybody would go there. You'd have so much business. You'd be the number one. You'd have everybody buying everything through there.
And you probably pay the exact same thing. You probably don't pay any financing costs over the course of time. Like if you buy something for $75, you just make, equal payments. I don't know. I don't know. It sounds to me like a whole nother housing bubble. Didn't we already try this? Buy now and pay later? Didn't we try this in like 2000, 2008?
Yeah, then when you get the mortgages that you never pay off. So
Yeah.
I guess it's already out there. Worked well. That's what drove us into the 2008 financial crisis. Yeah, good times.
Well, we were talking about PayPal. PayPal is moving up to fill a gap. I can't remember. I think that maybe that was from earnings. That's real close. That's right there right now. If you're waiting for that gap fill from, I'll call it earnings, 96.78. So you're getting a little bit more than that. So just be aware that you got a gap fill there. Apple, broke out a while ago, just ran into a few sellers in 155. Now 157.26 is the all-time closing high yesterday, 56.69. So they're your two levels. And then you got to start to think about 160, right? Maybe before the event, just see creep up there. Nice volume yesterday, and I can't remember the last time Apple's had a $2. Oh, it had a big day back on the 27th. It went from 48.60 to 53.12. But a nice run here for Apple. New all-time high, new all-time closing high.
All right. Now, one thing I would like to note here is, what if brokerages stepped into that buy now, pay later kind of thing? That would be something else, right? Matt Hammond saying, yeah, that's just called margin.
That's called margin.
Yeah.
Buy now, pay never. Kind of.
Hey,
Until that margin call comes.
can't blame him for that one. All right, let's go ahead. Let's transition here into another stock before. Let's go into Tesla. So Tesla, there was a release here of their China Passenger Car Association said that Tesla sold 44,264 vehicles in August, and it also got more subsidies than NIO. I think that's a good headline there, because really, I mean, in China, it's Tesla and NIO that are really battling right now to grab the market share. And so we're seeing that Tesla is winning at least the battle right now.
I mean, we got this one right yesterday. We talked about the potential for the breakout. I was like, I wouldn't want to be short at 740. This looked like it was breaking out, and it absolutely did. Ran another $12, up another 8 here today. It's obviously never trade on fundamentals for a long time, but it trades on story, and the story is still hot. The story is intact. You don't know where the next revenue source is going from. Honestly, I don't see why this couldn't make new all-time highs. So you're at 900. I mean, we've got to, when the thing was back at 600, I was like, I thought it could go to 400, but you got to be able to change your mind. That is what you are allowed to do as a trader. You've got to be able to change your mind. You've got to be able to get on the bull or the bear train. I've not participated in this move on an investment basis. I trade this almost every single day, though. It's a great trading vehicle. It actually has a lot of ETF arbitrage in there as well, which, doesn't get a lot of media attention, but it definitely has a correlation with Apple now, which, put up the Tesla chart, put up the Apple chart, Joel. I mean, you can start to see that there is some correlation here happening since Apple got added, or since Tesla got added to the S&P last year. So stuff to think about, but I mean, it's tough, it's tough to, you think fundamentally, it doesn't make any sense to be valued where it is, but they value it like a technology company, and it continues to go.
And you're back halfway of that entire move. You went from 90040 down to 539.49. That's a 360-point move, and you add that boom to 540. You're over that 50% now. Next monthly high, and I don't want to get people too excited yet, but your next monthly high doesn't come in until 780.79. That's not too far away. That's 20 points away. Maybe you can drill down on your dailies and get, some double tops or double bottoms, or double tops as potential resistance. But according to the monthlies, 780.79, that was your April high in Tesla. So I still have a little chunk of that. Not planning on doing anything with it anytime soon.
You are just like Warren Buffett.
Oh, yeah, man, Warren.
Forever and ever. Or it's Lisa, actually. But
yeah, exactly. She liked the showroom, and this was pre-pandemic. They had a little showroom at Somerset.
Yeah, I know. I told you that. I told you like the story there when Spencer and I went to Somerset Mall, and Spencer was about 2 years old at the time, and it was so busy that the cars in the showroom, there was like 3 cars in there, and you had to line up to get in, but they had a lineup going in the back seat and a lineup going the opposite way into the front seat. So you had to line up, and then we got in the back seat, and I started smell something, and I looked at Spencer. I was like, "Did you fart?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Okay, there's actually people we don't know in the front seat, and you're farting in the back seat of the Tesla. Okay, it's time to go." Welcome to 2-year-olds.
Good thing that's the only thing it was.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. When you're 2 years old, you never know. Hope it wasn't an SHART.
Okay, come on, Mitch.
This show just went off the rails.
Come on, Mitch. Spencer would never let this happen.
Bring us back.
All right, let's go ahead.
Oh my gosh, what happened to this show? I missed 2 days, and talking about farts in a Tesla at Somerset
Yeah.
Mall.
Shits and giggles, baby. Can we say that?
No.
I don't know if we're allowed. With the suit on here, I'm not sure if we're allowed that.
Yeah. We might get the boot. There. But
All
let's
right.
go ahead. Let's get into our interview today. I already see David here. He's joining in, so we might as well transition.
Good timing.
We can learn here. So let's go ahead. David Trainer here, founder and CEO of New Construct. Welcome on, David.
Good to be here. Nice to see you guys. I'm joining a very lively discussion.
You're just in time to save the show because we're all getting fired with the next next tangent we were going on. So, David, save the show, save our show.
Hey guys,
SOS.
These days you got to do a lot worse than what you're doing to get fired.
All right, David.
The bar's a lot lower these days.
Yeah, we talk about that. So, David, you can look at this earnings season was just too good. I mean, that, the expectations were there. They just blew it away. How can we sustain this? This is, some of these companies, the tech companies, I guess in particular, blew it away. Is it just like that perfect mixture of coming out of the pandemic and the rates, and it doesn't get any better in this, or does it get better in this?
I don't know if it gets much better. I mean, what we're seeing in the numbers is the companies overstated how bad it was on the way down, and they're overstating how good it is on the way up. This is a typical cycle. I mean, I remember this going back to the tech bubble, and I was a youngster back then, but the older, smarter guys called it the kitchen sink effect. When things were bad, companies write down everything. They want their earnings to look as bad as possible, and what that does is, at a minimum, sets up for good comps.
Yeah.
A quarter later, a year later.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that play out exactly for the S&P overall and for individual stocks. We're also seeing in general a trend where earnings distortion is getting higher and higher. Earnings distortions being the difference between what companies report or what, let's say, S&P says is the operating earnings number and the real number. The real number being core earnings. That's a number that we specialize in producing. And we're seeing the amount of distortion, both in overstatements and understatements, just getting higher and higher over the years. So basically, yeah, we're saying it's better. It's not as good as it looks. Companies are pushing unusual gains into their numbers in order to make them look as good as they can.
Talk about, we're obviously out of earnings season, but we had Sherwin-Williams here today talking about input costs. We had Clorox talking about it. Sherwin-Williams in their report talked that, they thought these input cost increases could be more sticky than what the Fed's letting on. Are you seeing this, are you seeing concerns for this for other companies?
Yeah, no, I think it's kind of the elephant in the room, right? I mean, everyone's sort of wondering how transitory is transitory. Yes. What's another wave of the pandemic going to do? What's this semiconductor chip shortage going to do? How long is that going to last? Like these things could be a big deal. And I don't know if anybody really has the answer. I think the Fed's playing it safe and keeping rates low. I think they after the 70s debacle, right? Like we just, whatever you do, don't raise them too fast.
Yeah.
Easy money is better than hard money in this day and age, for sure. I think it's also the politically correct thing to do. And I think the political impact here is important to keep in mind, guys, right? Like even if the right thing to do is to pop the bubble in the market, right? If it's the right thing to do all the way around, what politician wants to be on record or in office?
They don't want to be the one.
Yeah,
they're going
to kick the can down the road as long as they possibly can.
Yeah,
right. And by the way, they get to insider trade, right?
Apparently so.
It's legal for them, so they're making money either way. They're going to be fine. Their families will be fine, and as long as they get reelected, they're happy. Which means you tell people what they want to hear and give them what they want, and not necessarily do what's right. So I feel like that's important context for us to consider whenever we're thinking about the markets, because there's a lot of companies, stocks out there. I mean, look, we got GameStop reporting here soon, right? That's got our worst earnings distortion score, a strong beat. They've been historically sneaking a lot of unusual gains into the numbers. And, I don't think there's a rational investor out there that would try to make a straight face argument that its valuation is anywhere close to what it deserves. It's
Why is that? And in the short run, it seems like valuation can always, price can always get away from where real valuation is. But, we've been talking about this GameStop for the better part of 2021. And yet, AMC, GameStop, like somebody was saying, the AMC value is 5 times what it was before COVID started. Yet, movie theaters are obviously in a lot worse situation. Why is it that these don't go back to, where fundamental value lies?
Yeah, and why don't people tell the truth? And right? Why doesn't everyone, do what they're supposed to do? I mean, look, if I had to answer that question, Dennis, we could be doing this interview on my yacht, right?
We wouldn't be doing this show.
These are sort of existential questions of our time, and we spend a lot of time thinking about that. To be honest with you, and I think honestly that the one answer I've come up with that does, I think, at least approach making some level of sense is that I think retail investors do this because they don't believe that they can have access to reliable fundamental analysis. So think about that. If there is no fundamental anchor to what it is you're doing, then to heck with it, right? To the moon.
Well, that's a lot of this NFT stuff too, is it not? I mean, we could pay $1 million for a digital rock. So it's just built on, somebody who's buying that for $1 million doesn't believe that the digital rock is really worth $1 million. They believe that somebody will buy it for 1.1 million tomorrow. So, and that's what really the driver is. It's like the whole fear of missing out. Even these Brady NFTs that are supposed to be rare, yet I see a whole nother bunch of them getting dropped. It seems like every other day, and they're going from 10,000 to 20,000 to 50,000. I mean, this market has been built on the fear of missing out.
Yeah, and you only live once. I agree with that, and I think that the way that sort of mentality can take hold in the way it has is when there's a vacuum for some reliable fundamental analysis, right? When you've got no anchor on sort of what would make sense for value, then you know what, it's open season on whatever. And Dennis, I think you bring up a great point. NFTs are just sort of a natural continuation of this trend toward, hey, if fundamentals don't matter, then let's go. Everything's at play.
We're on the line with David Trainer of New Constructs. I want to talk about the financials here for a second, and you see this in stocks or sectors a lot. Big run up, sold off after earnings, big run up because interest rates are going up, right? That's going to be a primary driver for banks. Now, the Fed, maintaining their stance. I mean, end of 21, I don't see that happening. 22, what's holding these bank stocks up? If interest rates aren't going up, and that's not going to help them improve their margins, these things had major run predicated on rates going up, and now we don't know when they're going up, but these are holding up. They've sold off their highs a little bit, but Goldman Sachs goes from 350 to 420, hanging out at 410, 412. What's the next driver for the banks?
Well, I think to begin with, Joel, a lot of these banks were really cheap. JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. We did some interviews a while back just talking about how those were leaders in the space. Look, Goldman has been a money-making machine since I was on Wall Street. And they were really cheap for a while, as was JP Morgan. And so they were just they were left behind, I think, for in a large part because they weren't as sexy as the tech plays and the COVID plays and the work from home plays. But going forward, I think they're still going to make a lot of money. Look, I think DeFi is for real, but I think when you've got a war chest as large as what these firms have, and you've got a firm that's as dynamic as Goldman, they'll buy their way in. If they need to, before they let it take them over. They're not going to, they can pay the monster off before it eats them. and so I think, let's see, what does Goldman look like here? JP Morgan is still looking really cheap on our end, right? It's trading as if profits will decline by 10% permanently. Goldman, it's still relative to its profits, still looks really cheap in our system. It's trading as if its profits will permanently decline by 50%. Right. So these companies they make ridiculous amounts of money. They are, I mean, it's an oligopolistic, approaching an oligopolistic competitive environment for them, and they make tons of money. And we're in a completely financially, centric society. I mean, look, when I started into the business, there was no such thing as E-Trade or day trading or an E-Trade baby, right? And now, I mean, kids are trading. It's gamified. And so, like this all plays into sort of an increasingly, digital and financially oriented and investing and gambling society.
All right. I just want to add, I think you're 100% right on that, David, that the banks eventually will just probably, if they need to, they'll just buy their way in, because, I mean, we're starting to see the opportunities open up more and more and the return really show up. I think what it's always been about is it worth it to them? I think they're getting to that point that eventually it will be worth it to them. And the easiest way is just definitely acquisitions. I think that's what you'll see. And also these smaller name companies, especially like with the SPACs that are out nowadays, I think there's just going to be definitely some value coming in eventually when these prices that, when they came public go down half the valuation, and then they're able to just step in and take them.
Yeah, Mitch, I think that's a really great point to make, and it's often overlooked in terms of these upstart industries. So much capital goes into launching a business that's trying to disrupt another business. Tons of capital. And the incumbents, they're smarter to wait and let those folks spend all that capital, pick off the winners, buy them, and get farther along in that new trend or that new industry with less money than they would have if they tried to spend their way in too. Right. I mean, I look at, let's take EVs, for example. Right. What has happened to Tesla's market share of the last year? Right. On the marginal sort of growth, it's gone way down. And GM and all these firms, did they spend billions and billions building out stuff to prove EVs? No, Tesla did that. Now all they got to do is just feed into that market and convert their existing manufacturing advantages from internal combustible engine to electric vehicles. I don't think it's going to be that hard. And I think Tesla's ultimately going to get crushed. I think this additional capacity they're bringing on in all these new factories is not going to have enough demand. And the incumbents are going to be just fine. They didn't need to spend all that money proving EV. Tesla did that. And the same is true, I think, for a lot of DeFi, just like what you're saying, Mitch, right? Because guess what the banks own that's more valuable than anything? And we see this all over the space in the software space, right? It's the customer relationships. They can take a new technology and scale it and make it profitable just like that. Same with the incumbents. They have the ability to scale a new kind of vehicle and make it profitable, which Tesla, excluding regulatory credits, has never been able to do to this point after all these years, right? So there's a huge advantage to these big firms that own the customers. And we see this in the software space all the time. They don't care if you're making money. They just care how many customers you have.
Yeah.
It's Salesforce, right? They didn't make money forever, right? But they had a lot of customers. And we see the same is true with whether it's a Wayfair or any of these.
Well, Amazon was the poster child for this. For years, everybody looking at how can Amazon be worth $300 a share? They're burning cash. But they were growing revenue. And you know what? When they wanted to turn on the cash spigot, they just did it. And obviously, now we look at it and say, okay, what was I thinking when this is $300 a share? Because the bloody company is making up $50 or $80 a share this year. So it was really, if you're looking back and could project that growth and say, hey, they can turn on the cash train when they want to. I mean, that's where I think a lot of the mentality of the investors changed. They're looking for that top line growth. And they think that everybody can just pull on Amazon and can make a ton of cash when they want to. But all these companies, some of these newer startups aren't Amazon.
Right. I mean, Amazon's a once in a generation company, right? Google, Facebook. And that's what I love about so many of these traditional research firms is they always are saying this new company is the next Amazon. It's the next Google. It's the next Facebook, because those kinds of companies just grow on trees. Right. And I agree with you completely, Dennis, right? It's a rare feat. And think about it. Amazon was very stealthy about this, right? They were a book company. They didn't talk about how they were going to get into all these other things and brag about how they were going to disrupt all this stuff. They just quietly went about doing it.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, they're a cloud company before they they're there and doing it before they're even talking about it. And nowadays, you got companies talking about and executives talking about what they're going to do and being valued as if they're going to execute on it. When when the reality is that the execution is going to be extremely difficult, especially when you've telegraphed that that's what you're doing, and especially when so many other firms are trying to do the same thing.
One more question for you, David. We're seeing a trend here of companies, some bigger companies using their stock cash value and making acquisitions quite a bit. Microsoft, just is Apple doing it in a smaller way. I mean, are they just trying to buy? Like they just don't know what to do with the money, or they think their stock is overvalued? What have you seen this trend before, and how does it turn out?
Yeah, I've seen this trend before. This was a tech bubble type thing too, right? And I remember, early on Wall Street and asking this sort of same question of the senior analysts, and their answer was, well, the company's got an expensive currency, right? What took them 200 million shares to buy, they can now buy with 100 million shares or 100,000 shares, right? And so these executives are writing checks on a bank account that they don't have to cash. It's somebody else's shares, right? And it's an expensive currency. And so they feel like they're in a strong position to make acquisitions. And that's a big part of the mentality. And keep in mind, too, look, guys like Goldman, JP Morgan, and the investment bankers are in their ear every day trying to get them to do deals, right? Because that's how Goldman and these guys make a lot of money. So there's a lot of pressure. And then for the executives, there's a lot of upside, right? Instead of being a $100 million company, now we're a $150 million company. And now my compensation committee has to go to a different peer group for setting my compensation. I'm king of a larger territory and my compensation goes up. And I did it all without spending any of the cash on my balance sheet. Right? You've never heard a company get sued because they overpaid for an acquisition. You get sued when you underpay. So all these incentives are toward M&A and acquisitions. And I think it's important that people just keep that in mind when that's going on. And again, when it comes to fundamentals, nobody's looking at the fundamentals of these acquisitions. No one says, oh, they spent $50 billion and the profits they're going to get from that $50 billion is just $500 million. That's like a 0.1% return on your capital. That's not a good move. And there's no explanation about how that maybe 5 million might grow to a 50 billion. There's no accountability for that. I think a lot of the meme stock retail investors, they see that there's no real reliable fundamental research. There's no accountability for fundamentals. So why do we care?
Hey, I have to agree. I mean, at the end of the day, thank you for coming on, David. But
thank you, David.
I went to school also for finance, and I learned a lot of things. So let's just say I can grab that book and probably just drop it right here because it's just how it goes right now. At least the fundamentals haven't been mattering. We'll see when the logic comes back into play. Appreciate you coming on, David. If you guys don't know, this is David from New Constructs, the CEO. Check it out, guys. One of the things that they do best is economical data. So I appreciate you coming on, David.
My pleasure. Great to be with you guys.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey, you reeled us in there. That was good. That was.
I know it was going off the rails. We should bring it back to that because that was. I was waiting for a Raz.
I was waiting for a Raz call or a Raz stack. What are you guys doing there? But good. Thanks, David. We'll get you on again. Always around earnings season. Thank you very much.
All right, there you guys have it. Now let's go into. I did see some news on NIO. So
NIO
offering. There was a lot of offerings last night. Neo had an offering. I had them written down. There was just a ton of them. Where is my? No, I don't see my list, but there's been a ton of offerings happening for a while. And why is that? Because when stock prices are inflated, you find ways to raise money. Now this offering, I believe, was. Wasn't from the company. This was from a shareholder, wasn't it, Neil?
Yeah.
Let's look at the headline.
I see it is an aggregate of $2 billion. It's at the market. Let me see if this was from.
I think it was from a shareholder. I thought I saw it go by, but there's a lot of news going on. I'm going to look here too.
Well, for those, it's always the price, right? Whether the price act as support or resistance, right? Haven't seen the pricing on these yet, but
that's what matters. I mean, we saw it last night from Cody as well. Cody was another one, COTY shareholder dumping stock. And I mean, it's had a big run. You know, you look at the run up from 8 to 10 in just a couple of weeks, and somebody's ringing the register, and they got out at 8.50, I believe the pricing. That stock's trading below that now. There's a lot of companies that are still struggling out there that have been the beneficiary of, you know, of a bull run, and, you know, and markets that a lot of money has flown back into. And now you're starting to see some separation where, you know, the hot stories are still getting capital inflows, but some of the reopening plays we've talked about them have cooled off substantially.
Well, Chris Brown made a comment, you know, what about when Google bought YouTube? Well, that was one hell of a purchase. Yeah, I mean,
look where we are, right? I mean,
that's got to be one of the best. What did they pay? $8 billion?
Yeah, I think was it $5 billion or something like that?
Maybe it was even less than that.
And I think they make that in a year.
That's a question for a chat. I won't ask.
Yeah,
Google
they'll go about
the
it.
Chat will be fascinating. How much did Google? How much did Google pay?
I think it was $3 billion.
We're finding out right now. Google bought YouTube for $1.65 billion.
Oh, jeez.
Can you imagine?
Twitch is coming fast too for YouTube, so we'll see what happens.
Really?
Incredible.
Yeah.
Twitch? I don't really.
If you look at the viewership, Joel, it's coming fast. At least the growth wise is probably about 3 times the growth of YouTube. So definitely check it out. I mean,
I haven't been on that. Dennis, you go on Twitch?
We're gonna have to get Joel on.
I don't go on anything, Joel. I'm old. I go on my TV. I read the newspaper, physical newspaper.
Well,
I get my milk delivered.
I get my milk delivered. That's a topper.
Yeah. He still puts out the milk, you know, for the milkman.
Actually,
I still drink my beers from the little stubby bottles. We're going back and forth. This show is just terrible today. Where is Spencer Israel? We need him back. Mitch, help us out.
All right. Well,
the suit set this off. We don't even know how to do it.
We don't know what to do. We're all nervous. We're all nervous.
Infiltrated the ranks, as Benzinga just tweeted out, and now it's thrown us off. And we don't know. I'm in a T-shirt every single day of my life. I got the Benzinga T-shirt on today, though, the old one.
The same one, Dennis. Could you wear?
I think I wore the same one yesterday.
Could you turn it inside out at least? So we think I should.
Well, that's what you do when you're in the wash. You turn the underwear inside out, don't you?
Show
is getting so bad, man.
This guy Dennis telling all the people this morning. Well,
save water.
At least about Microsoft. They did a little purchase.
Yeah, they did.
Editing software developer Clipchamp. So Clipchamp, which caters to both individual and corporate workers, has over 17 million registered users and an adoption rate of over 390,000 companies. So pretty much, I mean, hey, another acquisition to get them into graphics, the kind of new thing that we all are using. It's just a move into digital, further into it.
All right, you've had the move, and I don't even care about the acquisition. I care more about what's happening with Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. You've had the move. Apple makes a new high. It seems like every single day. Facebook is trying, it looks like, to break out to new highs. Amazon has quietly come back and is trying to fill the earnings gap. You knew eventually it was going to start to come back up, and it has. And, we filled 2/3 of the earning gap. And then you got Microsoft that was the leader for a while. It had the big run, and it's in consolidation station here.
Yeah,
just around
good for
297 to 305. If I'm a betting man, and I am because I am long Microsoft, I think it resolves itself eventually, probably to the upside, unless we get this September to wreck all markets where we have finally the 10% correction in the SPY. I got to think a stock like Microsoft is going to probably eventually play a catch-up trade to Apple. So I'm not a seller of Microsoft. I know it's down. I did a little acquisition here, down 40 cents here today, but I'm holding on to my Microsoft.
I know. Oh boy. Are you really? I'm probably going in the hole on this one.
He wants to bet.
Yeah, I'm probably going to go in the hole.
Joel wants to get bearish.
I should wait. I should wait like a day or two.
You're getting bearish at the right time, though, Joel. It's September. This is when you typically should be bearish, correct? So, historically, we've had some tough markets in September/October. So seasonality says, yeah, you should ring the register. So if you want to make a bearish bet with me, you're doing it at the right time.
Okay. Let's go a virtual lunch. We're gonna
a virtual lunch. I love this.
Yeah, we got
an NFT lunch.
We got it because we got to
create the NFT, and we'll share an NFT lunch, and we'll just that'll be very satisfying.
because you live up in the boonies now, and I probably can't get into Canada.
No, I don't think
I
they'll let you in.
probably won't be able to take you out to lunch, so we'll do virtual lunches.
Okay.
I can order you something in from Tim Hortons.
I like the NFTs. I
Uh,
hate Tim Hortons lunch. Tim Hortons donuts were fine. Spencer Israel gave me the Tim Hortons gift certificate, but I don't drink coffee, and the food at Tim Hortons is absolutely terrible. I don't want food from Tim Hortons.
okay.
Like the best in Canada, isn't
So okay, here we are. $299.75. Microsoft.
And don't say I'm getting the edge, but I'll take 290. I'll give you 310.
You are getting the edge. You're taking me for 20 cents here.
I knew it. Oh, 13 cents now.
I'll do it. I'll even give you the edge. You got 290. I got 310. If the market crashes in September, I'm going to get burned on this one. But we'll do a virtual lunch, to be determined later. Where
I mean, it's just the way it's
a bet.
Up.
It's a bet.
It's a bet. But boom, it's just the way it's setting up. You had the high before at 297.47. Which and then they had their crazy deal raising prices in office, and you came down to 290, 96.83. So to me, it's just kind of leaning heavy on this 297 area. Once you take that out, I think you get a look at 290. So that's it. I mean, I'd be more convinced when it went through this 96.83 level, but since I can't give up the edge there, that's what I'm looking at. And 310, there's got to be so much stock for sale when it gets back to 305 and 306 and 307.
I know. I see where you're looking. It's going to be tough to get
quad
through
witch
there. You
coming
probably
up.
could win this bet.
Yeah.
I'm not as confident in this bet. And you know what? People are betting with you. They're already hitting Microsoft. It's fallen 20 cents and we just made this bet a few seconds ago. So they're already with you, Joel. They're listening to you. And they're like, that Joel Elconin knows his stuff. He's bearish. I'm selling.
The odds already.
The market has spoken. They like your side of the bet better than mine.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. All right, it is 9:01. I'm actually late for pre-market prep plus. I'm going to go over there and cover all the symbols. Mitch, we should touch base later in the day here to get set up for at the close show. But join me. I got questions on DocuSign, Oracle, buy the dip, and DocuSign was the main question I'm going to address on pre-market prep plus. So we'll see y'all over there.
All right, see you there, Joel and Dennis. Have a good day. Another day trading.
We like the suit, Mitch. We're giving you a hard time, but we like the suit.
Oh, I mean,
I feel like we're in a suit. I feel like we're in a suit now. I don't even think I own one though, so I'd have to go out and buy one.
You got Amazon. You feel right. That's what they say. So Dennis is relaxed, and he's about to get his trading day on.
We're off.
Sure.
Good luck, everyone.
He's doing and killing it. I'm gonna be getting ready to do what? Money, guys. Let's go ahead and let's get crypto talk here. We're going to talk a little bit of some crypto action here. Let's take a look at what we are seeing in the crypto markets right now. This is, of course, brought to you by Voyager here. Let's take a look. I mean, all red today, but could this be a buying the dip opportunity here? That's, of course, what we need to go ahead and pay attention to. This is the Benzinga update brought to you by Voyager. You can get $50 in free Bitcoin when you use the code ZING on Voyager and deposit at least $100. With over 60 assets to trade and choose from, annual yielding of 12%, Voyager is your launch pad into the world of crypto. I'm going to be watching that Doge pullback now that we're under that 30 cents. I've always paid attention to that level. Can we get back up there? That's going to be an interesting mark. BTC down about 9.2%. Also ETH coming down there. We'll see if they can start bouncing back. We've had a good run, but these pullbacks are necessary. They give it an actual level to come back, pull back, find some pullback buyers, and get back up roaring. I'll be watching to see what happens in the cryptocurrency market. But of course, let's go ahead and let's talk some stock here. We're going to go and let's play this a little here. Got to get this video clip going. All right, so now let's go ahead and I'm going to get you guys into the market. We do have live trading with Benzinga that will be coming on, I think about 9:10, 9:15 starting up. But until then, you guys have me right now to do some ticker time. So you guys throw some tickers in the chat. But first, let's get these likes up to 500. I need at least 500 likes. If not, Luke told me I have to leave the office and get out of here. So if you guys want me sticking around, go ahead, smash up that like. Let's get into what we're seeing out there in the market. Yep, you guys see I have my chat open on Benzinga. If you guys don't use the chat, check it out. A lot of people talking stocks in the morning. Let's take a look at our morning movers. What do we got on the gainers this morning? What is moving? If you guys got a stock, put it in the chat. Looks like there's a lot of stocks flying through there, so I'm going to start knocking this out. Money Mitch looks, you got it with the suit, rocking it. All right, first one up, BBIG. Daniel's talking about BBIG. Let's take a look here. All right, let's pull up my charts here. So this one is pushing up through that $10 level. Had that sideways consolidation here between $7 and about $9.50. Now pushing up above that. I would look for maybe a slight pullback underneath 11, maybe towards the 1090s, but you don't want to drop too far down below that. Maybe 1075 as the stop there. Trying to get it back up towards this high. This high was 1190. And this was on the 1st of September. So look for that to be taken out. And one of the things to point is the lowering volume going into this move. I would like to see an increase of volume as we break through that $12, get to the next level. Next stock up, looks like someone wants to check out Facebook. Let's take a look here. Facebook has been pushing lately, had a nice uptrend. This is one thing that I definitely pay attention to. Alt T for our Benzinga Pro users. So you can kind of draw this trend line here. And as long as this doesn't break, I think we're going to be looking good. You can kind of see multiple times it coming to this level. Last time it came to this level was on the 19th of August. Then it pushed up above that. Now we just want to see it hold any pullbacks, let's say towards 374, 375. But I think this is setting on up to make a nice push towards 400. Let's go to the next stock here. What other stock we have? Matt, I already knocked out BBIG. What's going on, Yogi? It's good to see you. CPNG. I think this stock had earnings as yesterday night. Let me take a look here. No, it wasn't right now. I thought that earnings should be coming up here. Let me take a look at the calendar. Oh, the 11th. All right. So after the close on the 11th, it did surprise there. The estimates were, I think it was right off of it, about 0.1 off there. So let's take a look here at the chart. What are we seeing today? What reaction? We got that nice green bullish engulfing candle here on the 7th. And one thing that you can see is that you did run into resistance near 32 and 33s. So we're going to see if we can hold 31 this morning. That's what I'd want to see on the pullback. So you wouldn't want to see it break more than half of this green bar on the pullback and get back up through the high here. The high is 32.79. So let's see if that gets through that level. And let's take a look here on the pre-market, see how it's trading on the 15. Looks like, hold on. Looks like I don't have my after hours set here. Trying to get, I'll work on that in a second here. We did get a nice push on up there towards 32.60. You got a one push, pullback, a push, pullback. I'd look for a pullback towards this 30.90, maybe 31, and then look for a red to green going into the open. Let's go ahead and I'll keep going. Trying to do my best with the charts that I have. Don't got the normal setup today, but Genie down news today. Yes, Diane, if you rewind, it was about the second stock that we talked about this morning. You can go back and look at it. It is down, trading down today, but we'll see if it can get a bounce back, and that's Genie. Let's go ahead and take a look here. What other stocks are being mentioned? It looks like this. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's keep going. What do we got being mentioned? AI. All right, let's take a look here. All right, let's take a look at AI. How are we looking on the daily chart here? So you're seeing a bearish pattern here that got started when this broke down here, went on up, came up through there. Now we're starting to really start looking like it wants to try the trend here. If we draw a trend line here from here, you can see kind of this line that we could draw down. One of the things that you can see is also a bottoming action here near that 45 level. So I'd pay attention towards that because you could get some pullback from here, but you got this gap down and now we're trying to fill it. Can we get up there towards 52.34? It looks like this wick got right close towards it at 29. And the low there is 52.37. So look to see for maybe a pullback today towards 49.50, and then look for another push through 52 to get back through that gap. This stock does have some good volume that's going in it in the last 2 days, so I'll be looking for a pullback in AI. What's another one being mentioned here? IGC. IGC, isn't that? Yeah, it is Indiana Globalization Capital. It's trading higher after the company announced completion of its phase 1 clinical trial in Alzheimer's patients. This is kind of one of those gap up and then just trying to fill the gap here. I would see this one coming back down towards 160, especially if you're seeing this weak action in the pre-market. So I do not like IGC that much. Let's keep going. What are the ones being mentioned in the chat? Someone says they like X. All right. Let's take a look at US Steel here, X. All right, so I've actually played this one recently and I played it on a pop-up, but it didn't really hold its gains. And now you're seeing multiple times to try to break through on the downside here, 26.25. I actually do like this one. I'm going to be taking a look at this one towards the bell here. So I appreciate you, Alex, in Detroit. Looks like you got the Tigers emblem on there. You might have to hit me up, man. I'm thinking about going to the Detroit game this weekend. So probably on Friday here. But we'll see what happens here. One of the things that I do like is multiple tries to break through this 26. Let's see if we get some good push up there towards 27 today. I will be watching X towards the open. Mitch hit Bud for me, Bud. All right, that's not too bad. Let's go. Let's take a look here, Bud. Anheuser-Busch here. Let's take a look to see what we're seeing. I kind of like this pullback. Let's take a look at a deeper time frame chart, see what we're getting to. Looks like it was kind of holding a trend here. Let's draw a line right over here. It was holding trend, and now broke down on the downside. Where are we going to pull back to? I think we could pull back towards 56 here, but I do not see the turn action just yet. Let's take a look at the weekly. Weekly also shows really hard down action right there on that break of 68. I would look for this one to come back down closer towards next level support 52. 52 would start getting me interested on some reversal side action. Alex says he lives in the downtown. Hey, come visit the office. We're not too far. Let's keep going. Next up, Virgu being mentioned here by Don Russ. Want to get through that? Let's get to the. All right, 9:12, guys. We'll be getting towards 9:15, and then we'll get towards live trading. Waiting for Aaron Bry to get in here. Let's take a look. What are we seeing? A nice pullback, a nice push through that level. Let's take a look here on the daily. This one is coming towards a little bit of a resistance attempt here towards 990. You can see that it was a resistance here and then popped up, didn't hold it. That's what you want to see. And then it came up towards these levels and rejected down at the 9. If you look to the left, you see that this was resistance here in December multiple times and then eventually broke out, giving us that breakout. Also a wick right before it. Nice levels there. But so now you can clearly see 990 as resistance. I think this one's trying to head back down towards 9. But if it does come up through that 990, there's going to be resistance there, and it needs to get some strong volume to get through $10. All right, let's go. Let's talk about DKNG. I got you. Pam, I'll get Jobby right up next. You guys do me the favor, smash that like, hit the subscribe below. I want to see some subscribers today. If you haven't ever subscribed, I did see someone in the chat mention that this was the first time they hit that subscribe button after watching for 2 years. Don't be that person. Let's go ahead and let's hit the subscribe right now. And of course, like always, hit the share. Let everybody know where the best pre-market show is right here. on Benzinga. DKNG, Chris Brown. Let's do it. I hope you're the real Chris Brown too. Do a little dance. DKNG, DraftKings pushing on up there through the 60s. I mean, I was watching this one for a while. You guys remember I actually got stopped out in DraftKings, and I can, you guys can be mad at me about that one. But this one did make that push through 60. I had bought in it back when it was right here in this early August time. Now it's made that move through 60, going up there to 63. Where can this one stop? I think we are going to run into a little bit of resistance at 65 and 66. We can pull back closer towards 58. So right now probably wouldn't be the time to go buying in DKNG if you're trying to start a new position. But like always, you can do your own risk assessment. And I think it is on an extension move on up, where it just pushed from this breakout here, which was about from 52 to 60. So $8 up. If you calculate from that breakout, let's say $8 from the 60 to 68 would be kind of that reach on up to that extension. We'll see if it can get towards 66 and 65 because there's some resistance there. All right, guys, the bell coming soon. Yeah, Quantum, don't worry. We'll get you to the live trading. FSLR up 2% on news. You guys know how I like my solar names, so definitely let's take a quick look. Like we got AB here. I'm going to go ahead and bring on AB after this stock, and then we'll get on over towards live trading. But look at First Solar really starting to push multiple times to try to break through this 97. Today, I'll be looking for solar to get hot. I've been waiting for the next wave in solar. So we'll see if the seasonality comes into play. Weekly chart has multiple resistance right there too. Next stop would be clearly 100. We'll see if First Solar can get moving today. That's FSLR. Lucid did make up the gap, so that's not doing too bad. On my own, never on my own, never. I got my man AB in the house, so I'm not stressing it. Let's go ahead and bring him on. What's going on, man?
What's up, Mitch? How we doing? How do you like being in the office?
You know what's weird is that you're in the office, but yet I haven't seen you.
I know. I just climbed in. I was actually stuck in traffic coming in. There was an accident on the highway, so it took me about 15 minutes longer than it normally does. But rest assured, I made it. I'm here. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Hey, of course, man. And at the end of the day, that's why we need these robots to drive EV. We don't need these humans having errors anymore.
That's what I'm saying. I was saying that yesterday that I'm excited for. I don't know if you've ever had a close call with a semi truck, but it's not fun.
Yeah, with semis, I think the final destination life is for me. But I agree with you, AB. You got to be careful with those semis. I did see, though, in Detroit that the speed limit for the trucks is lower than the regular cars.
Interesting. I haven't noticed that.
Yeah, I saw that on the highway. It was like 65, regular car 70. That's something.
So where are you staying? They put you up in a hotel downtown or something?
Yeah, man. It's time to party in the downtown life, right?
There you go. There you go. All right, man. Well, I'll let you get over to live trade-in. Just give me the word whenever you're all ready to get started, and I'll wrap up here, and we'll get started there.
Will do, guys. We'll see you guys on live trading. Like always, smash that like up, hit the subscribe bell, and AB, let them know. Are you looking at anything this morning?
Mitch, I actually was looking at some SQQQ because I didn't know, if the QQQs, the major indices would be able to keep up their steam throughout the rest of the week. But it looks like we're pretty flat in the pre-market. So I was actually looking to see, I just got DraftKings pulled up right here, but let's go check in on QQQ, see what's going on there. And it's down 0.05%. It's not really doing anything. I was kind of like looking for, some sort of reversal here for a few points before I got back in on the way up. But yeah, Mitch, I caught the end of pre-market prep when you were talking about what you were watching about. I didn't know what else you were looking at this morning.
No, it's not a bad look. I mean, at the end of the day, it's known for September to be a weak month in the market. So looking for downside action, I would not disagree with that, AB. The last thing I want to do before I get on out of here, guys, if you guys haven't heard, we are doing an in-person conference. It's also virtual. So for you guys at home, you guys can join. But if you guys want to head to New York, check out the Cannabis conference. Let's go ahead and play that. I'll cue it up, and I'll see you in a little bit, AB.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I'm excited about that back in person with conferences after the long year with COVID of having no in-person conferences at all. But I do think that this hybrid model is something that is going to be the norm going forward. I mean, the hybrid model that allows people that aren't in town for the conference to tune in virtually is just so much more convenient for everybody involved. All right, chat, let me know what y'all are watching this morning. I see someone in the chat talking about PayPal. Let's check in on PayPal. PayPal and Square, for that matter, have just been absolute monsters over the past, really since COVID hit. Look, so let's see, the stock got all the way down to about $80 at about 300 right now. So that's 4.5 times where it was trading. It's all the way up here now. And we saw this get overextended a little bit around 310, get hit hard. Look how far this dropped. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red candles in 6 days, dropped from about 310 down to 270. Those of you that went out and bought the dip got rewarded right away, really. But then over time, if you held on, got rewarded even more if you're back up here at the 300 level. I think I'm going to watch this, try to come back up to this 310 level. And then it's going to decide, are we breaking through here or are we going to, reverse again? So definitely have my eyes on PayPal, have my eyes on Square as well. They trade together a lot. Let me check on live trading. We should be getting that going any minute now. But for now, let me just take some tickers out of the chat. Let's see. Money Mitch is saying wrap it up. So good morning, AB. Can you take a look at Tesla? Looks like Golden Cross on the daily. This will be the last stock that I look at. I did mention yesterday on Power Hour I was adding Tesla to my watch list for the week. I actually bought a weekly call yesterday. So I bought the weekly call, and then within like 10 minutes, it was up like 10%. I was up $50, and I was like, all right, I should just get out of this now because I've played that game before where I hold it and then end up losing money even though it was up. So I sold it. But I think Tesla looks freaking great here. So yeah, if you were watching Power Hour yesterday, you heard me point out the strength in Tesla that I was adding this to my watch list for the week. I don't have all the indicators up to see the Golden Cross, but as I said, it looks good. I think we're gonna see it come up to this level right here at about 780, and that's going to be a line in the sand. Are we going to hit this 780 spot and hit some resistance, or if we break through it, we could see it climb all the way back up to 800. So definitely watching Tesla, but it's Tesla's one of those ones that's just a risky trade in general. Very volatile. How's Michael Burry doing? Joe Rogan's asking. How's Joe Rogan doing? Joe Rogan's got the vid right now, doesn't he? I'm sure he's fine, but I haven't heard much of him since that. Michael Burry probably not doing well if he has held on to his Tesla short trades. Michael Burry is one of those guys that I don't really know he might be one of those lightning in a bottle, Harper Lee. He got right once, but who knows? All right, y'all. I'm wrapping up here. Stick around for live trading with Benzinga. Drop your tickers in the chat over there. I'm sure we'll take a look at Tesla as well as some other stocks. But yeah, looking forward to a nice fun day on Zinger Nation YouTube channel. Please smash the like and subscribe if you haven't already. And starting right now, live trading with Benzinga.